Ideally, Coptic theological schools and seminaries would exist side by side as two separate entities, the former specifically offering courses of study in religious and theological education, and the latter exclusively for the training of priests, including pastoral studies and formation. This, however, may not be possible at present due to the potential high cost of running separate institutions. But for the time being at least, each Coptic theological school should have a clearly defined seminary within its educational structure, or offer a particular course targeting the formation of priests, for example, a Bachelor of Theology. Coptic seminaries should endeavor to train prospective clergy how to be Orthodox. A future goal for us as bishops should be to ensure that no man be ordained into the priesthood without first obtaining a degree in theology. This was one of St Habib Girgis' criteria of sound theological education.
The message of His Grace Bishop Suriel was met by a lot of acceptance from the group. Both His Holiness Pope Tawadros, bishops, priests, and servants were very much in agreement that the Coptic Church, with its long heritage, should at least have 3 Coptic seminaries. His Grace Bishop Suriel recommended 3 locations, one in United Kingdom, one in Melbourne, Australia, and the third in New York area.
Archdeacon Habib Girgis repeated several times in his books. He said if all the Coptic schools close down, meaning primary and secondary education, you will be able to find an alternative to them, because you can send your children to study at other private schools or in the public school system. But then he said, but if the theological college closes down, where are you going to train your pastors and your priests? This is the crucial question here. And this is something that our church has lacked for over 100 years, that we don't have powerful theological colleges. And this has been to our detriment. And that is why Saint Archdeacon Habib Girgis, one of his main goals was to see the theological college to reach the most highest international standards. And he said that no priest should be ordained unless they have a theological degree. And he said that when you come to work as an engineer, you cannot work as an engineer. Any company will not employ you unless you have a qualification as an engineer. No one can work as a doctor if they don't have a degree in medicine. No one can work as a teacher if they don't have a Bachelor of Education. In any profession, you cannot be employed unless you have the proper skills for this profession. And then he said, what about this most important thing of caring for people's salvation and their eternity? How can people look after human souls and their eternity if they don't have the qualifications to do so? And so he was working day and night. He was working day and night. I don't know when he used to sleep, this man. When I read his works and read the hundreds of letters that he wrote and his reports, and how passionate he was about the importance of theological education in our church, and wanted to achieve so much, and he did, but he still at his deathbed was very sad and very bitter. If you read his last book, he wrote a very powerful book in 1942, 9 years before his death, about his vision of how the church can be reformed in a period of 10 years, and how sad he was that he couldn't achieve his goal of making the theological college to be at the highest international accredited level, and for having many priests to be completing their theological education. And that's why the importance of a theological college in our diocese is essential, to train future priests that will be equipped, especially for the world that we're living in today, with all of the many challenges, how to equip these priests to care, to lead our parishes in the future, how they will care for the young children, for the youth, for the families, how to put powerful educational programs in each of our parishes, how to train our Sunday school teachers that are going to care for our children, to raise them up in the faith, to have powerful youth leaders, for all those that will teach in the church, but also for families, for parents, how they will meet the challenges of raising their children in this world that we are living in today. If we don't have a powerful theological college to be able to train these people, then we are going to go back to this dark period that we saw over 100 years ago, and people will begin losing their faith again. I believe in this vision. And as I said in Adelaide last weekend, if this is the only thing that I'm remembered for in front of Christ, if I get to stand in front of Him one day, then I think it would be sufficient, because I think it's a very, very important work. In my opinion, it is the most crucial work that I'm doing in this diocese. If we cannot get theological education correct, nothing else will work. And this is exactly what St Habib Girgis said over 100 years ago. He said that this should be the most important project that the Church takes care of. And I believe that this is still true today. And I hope that we can fulfill his legacy and the mission that St. Archdeacon Habib Girgis left for the Church within our diocese.